Tonight,
the information uptake. There has just been an immense amount of information.
Mayor Gerald Albers discusses the highs and lows of 2016. Plus, hundreds of people in Vegreville are voicing their concerns over the federal government's decision to move jobs to Edmonton. And
this time of year, there are lots of animals that are looking for their forever homes.
The SPCA's Home for the Holidays adoption fundraiser is underway.
This is Newcap News with Nicole Stilger.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight in St. Paul, where two people are behind bars charged with second-degree murder. 26-year-old Jordan Steinhauer and 26-year-old Sarah Brereton, both of Saddle Lake and Edmonton, were taken into custody on Sunday in connection with the November 8th disappearance and death of Robert Stamp of the Saddle Lake First Nation. Police say there was substantial evidence at the scene to indicate foul play had occurred. Both Steinhauer and Brereton will appear in court on December 22nd. Well, it was a whirlwind year for the city of Lloydminster, culminating in the largest civic election in the city's history. 21 candidates for city council and 3 for mayor. In the end, Gerald Albers won City Hall in a landslide. Adam MacVicker sat down with Mayor Albers to talk about the transition into City Hall and his goals for the new year.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you taking the time today to answer a few of my questions. And just like the election campaign, I guess we'll just get right into it. My first question for you, what has been the most difficult part of your transition into City Hall?
The information uptake. There has just been an immense amount of information brought forward from administration, from people in the city for myself and council. I think that getting up to speed on so many things from so many different avenues. When you're on the outside and you look into City Hall, you see certain things. I can tell you once you're on the inside, you see a lot more things looking outward. And I think that's what I really can share with people is that there's a lot of items going on at City Hall. Your snow removal, your water comes on your tap, your wastewater goes away and things like that. But there's a lot more that goes on at City Hall, I can assure you that.
So what are some goals you'd like to accomplish in 2017?
Basically setting a course for the next 4 years and beyond, because I think what happens is council has to look beyond simply 4 years. Pick up from what the previous council's done, do a little adjusting, because that'll be putting our spin onto it, I guess, as they say, and go from there.
What are some changes you'd like to see and why?
The city started Your Voice events. I believe that I'd like to see, and I believe council would agree with me on this, that we'd like to see more of those, and maybe more specifically to engage people on one item, because there have been hot topic items in the city, and I think we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to be heard and voice their concerns, ask their questions, and make sure that if you have a question or someone else has a question, an audience will be able to hear that whole question. Because if we can answer it just once, it'll make it a lot easier than answering it 14, 12, whatever number of times. I guess basically I'd really like to work towards bringing the opportunity of people to get involved in activities more. I've heard from people, we all want to volunteer. If somebody wants to do something in the city, let's try and make it happen for them. If somebody wants to do some work in a park, if we can make it all work within the proper structure of things, I think it's so important that people have the ability to take pride and ownership in our community, because it is our community.
And is there any plan to meet with provincial and federal officials? And if those meetings take place, what will be discussed?
We deal with 2 governments on everything at the provincial level, and twice as many departments in essence, because we have the duplication. We'll take that opportunity and share our needs. I think that everyone can agree infrastructure. When I listen to the governments from the news releases and that they talk about spending money and making sure that we get good value for our money, that is certainly our plan, and we'll be working with our neighbors. I think that's going to be very important as we look to our rural municipalities in Saskatchewan, the county in Alberta, and the communities that surround us. Working together is paramount, and how we do that is going to be up to us, and I'm looking forward to building those relationships at a local, provincial, and federal level.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you taking the time as always, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity.
And hundreds of people in Vegreville are fighting a federal government decision. Residents packed the social center on Sunday, sharing their concerns and giving a voice to those who they say were not consulted last fall when the federal government decided to close the community's immigration case processing center. 280 jobs will move to Edmonton.
Mainly the devastation it is to the families. I mean, somebody that has worked there for, basically 20 years and now have got to uproot and move. I don't think there was a good thought process put into this. Like they did not think of the human element here.
Leaders from all levels of government, including union representatives, attended the meeting. The federal government said the decision was made to increase efficiency. A fatality report into the August 2009 death of a local woman at the Big Valley Jamboree in Camrose says producers of outdoor concerts need to take steps to better protect spectators against the risk of falling stage equipment. The report, released today, recommended changes to national standards and amendments to Alberta legislation and regulations as ways to prevent stage equipment from toppling over in high winds. The report also indicated the death of 35-year-old Donna Moore of Lloydminster was accidental. 3 others were also seriously injured. Well, the Lloydminster SPCA is putting on one of its last adoption events of the year right now to make sure nobody is alone for the holidays. For the next 2 weeks, there are no adoption fees for adult cats, while kittens are only $50 and dogs have a $100 fee.
This time of year, there are lots of animals that are looking for their forever homes, and it's a great time for people who maybe are considering adopting but just haven't got around to it.
Punch-On says the promotion frees up space, which is a huge help as January can be a busy month for the shelter.
There's so many amazing animals right now, dogs, cats, and kittens that just are looking for that great home. So certainly come in and say hello and meet one and hopefully take one home.
The Home for the Holidays event runs until December 31st. More information can be found on the Lloydminster SPCA's website. As the last few weeks have shown us, the cold weather is no stranger to Alberta. In this week's edition of Retrospect, Gina Martin shows us how one cold snap really took a toll on drivers in the border city.
It's 30 degrees in the border city right now. Watch out.
And cold it is. The Midwest is sitting at a minimum of 20 degrees below normal for this time of year, and there's a common sound and sight that come with this frigid weather. Towing companies have been flooded with calls from people who can't get their vehicles started.
I'm not sure how bad it is today, but yesterday, as of noon yesterday, I think we were about 8 hours behind. So we were quite busy. Yeah, we were going till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
And those frozen vehicles are leading to more business for taxi cab.
Tuxedo cabs probably quadruple what the last few days were like before the cold snap.
And those waiting for a taxi are having to wait longer than usual.
Unit 2, a little bit longer than they normally would, yep. But usually they're pretty good. We tell them right up front that we're extremely busy. A lot of people will phone ahead of time and say, you know, I need a cab in half an hour, like they'll pre-book the cab. So that kind of works out better because it is extremely busy with the cold weather. And a lot of people are phoning for booths, so that takes a little bit longer.
But most people seem to be taking the deep freeze in stride, as cameraman Marcus Ferguson found out.
Used to the cold weather because that's what we get in Alberta, Saskatchewan here.
Has the cold weather been slowing you down at all in the Christmas rush?
Not really.
No? Any trouble with your car? Has it been starting okay in the morning?
Real good.
Yeah?
All you need is one of them houdinies and then they work.
Yeah.
20 years later, not much has changed in Lloydminster. With temperatures recently dropping into the -30s, local towing companies have seen no shortage in work.
Probably doing at least 4 or 5 booths a day and towing an extra 3 or 4 trucks that are froze up.
Though the cold weather isn't bad for business, McMillan recommends people to keep their vehicles plugged in if they want to avoid a tow or a boost. That's all for Retrospect this week. I'm Gina Martin.
This is Newcap Sports.
Well, everyone knows what it was like as a kid to open up those gifts under the tree, thrilled at the opportunity to rip open the packaging and try out your new toy. Now that's winter in full effect, and that's the feeling skiers and snowboarders have finally been treated to. Lance Phillips brings us the story from the Hill.
Once the calendar changes to December, many Canadians begin dreaming of a white Christmas, while resort operators dream of white ski slopes. Friday was the day dreams became reality when Table Mountain started its lifts for opening day. and staff have been working hard preparing the hills for another season of fun.
Well, actually, we've probably had people on staff here since the beginning of November. To get the hill ready, I guess we got to cut the grass and get everything, all the runs in place, and flush the water lines, get everything involved. And then we started making snow, well, it'll be 2 weeks next Monday. So we've been making snow for 9 or 10 days and stuff. So we've been working here probably for the last month and a half.
For many skiers and boarders, opening day offers an experience that can't be found any other time of the season.
Oh, it's the first time of the year I get to put a board on and get back out on the hill. And it's just enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. You can just glide down the hill, carve side to side.
I like it. I mean, it sucks that it's all really hard snow still, but I mean, I don't know any different. I've never been snowboarding before.
Approximately 100 to 120 people graced the slopes of Table Mountain Friday, so it could be classified as a success. Sort of.
Well, it's a little on the cold side. Actually, I thought it was a little better than what I expected for the. I got up this morning, it was minus 30 at home, so it actually turned out better than I thought.
Rough. Fell about 50 times. Took me 30 minutes to go down this beginner hill, and it kind of sucked, but trying to figure out what I was doing on the board was a bigger problem than being cold.
Whether you're a resort operator or a first-time skier, success on opening day can be measured in many different ways. For some, it's braving these minus 38-degree temperatures. For me, it's just getting down the hill without falling. There's always tomorrow. Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports, Table Mountain.